The Quran is often seen as a book of divine wisdom, but what happens when we take a closer look at its language, its tone, and its historical evolution? In this video, we'll start uncovering a side of the Quran that often goes unnoticed. A side filled with personal attacks, tribal rivalries, and reactionary threats. And as we go deeper into this exploration, you'll begin to see patterns that extend far beyond just one episode. So, if you're ready for a fresh perspective, stay with us, because this is just the beginning. The verses of the Quran, especially those from the Meccan period, sometimes clearly exhibit harsh and even threatening tones that resemble human reactions rather than divine transcendent speech. This raises an important question. How can a book that presents itself as divine speech contain human emotions such as anger, resentment, and humiliation? Could these verses actually be more reflective of the personal and social emotions of the author, rather than delivering a timeless and universal message? A historical and thematic analysis of Quranic verses from the Meccan period reveals three main focal points: insults and threats of punishment directed at those who refuse to believe, descriptions of the fate of those who rejected Muhammad's message, and Muhammad's reactions toward these individuals. At the same time, these verses reflect the mindset and worldview of the Quran's author and possess unique characteristics that are not found in other civilizations or similar religious texts. Many of these verses have been largely overlooked in religious educational materials and missionary sermons. This avoidance suggests a hesitation to engage with specific aspects of the Quran that require thorough and impartial study. Unlike other sections of the Quran that contain myths or rewritten accounts of earlier civilizations, these verses are entirely original and unique to the Quran. One of the most important surahs from this period is Surah Al-Alaq, which is recognized as the first revelation. While alone in the cave of Hira, Muhammad received the revelation from Gabriel. This message included Surah Al-Alaq, the first divine revelation, which began with the words,
"Read in the name of your Lord who created."
Among the Quranic verses, some chapters and passages explicitly refer to specific individuals from the Quraysh tribe who opposed Muhammad. These verses are structured in a way that initially presents Islam, its monotheistic God, and its prophet in a seemingly respectful and inviting manner. However, as the verses progress, their tone shifts to threats and warnings against Muhammad's adversaries. One of the clearest examples of this phenomenon is found in Surah Al-Alaq, which was revealed concerning Abu al-Hakam, whom Muhammad later nicknamed Abu Jahl, literally meaning father of ignorance. The renaming of individuals, either for insult or glorification, was an ancient Arab tradition commonly referred to as Hijah and Mad. This tradition was widespread among the Arabs and still persists in some modern Arabic-speaking societies. In this particular case, Abu Jahl opposed Muhammad after seeing him praying near the Kaaba, a site considered sacred by pagans and used for idol worship. Abu Jahl then threatened Muhammad, saying that if he continued to pray there, he would take action against him. In response to this threat, the following verses of Surah Al-Alaq were revealed.
Have you seen the one who forbids a servant of God when he prays? Does he not know that God sees?
These verses were intended as a divine warning to Abu Jahl and other opponents of Muhammad. In verses 15 and 16 of the same surah, this threat becomes even more severe.
No, if he does not desist, we will certainly seize him by the forelock, a lying, sinful forelock.
The phrase seizing by the forelock refers to grabbing a person's hair from the front, which in modern language could be described as grabbing them by their bangs or forehead hair. This was a deeply humiliating gesture in Arab tribal culture, symbolizing submission and disgrace. The words lying and sinful further reinforce the condemnation and disgrace of the individual. This threatening and confrontational tone demonstrates the Quran's aggressive stance against those who opposed Muhammad. Interestingly, this form of interaction mirrors the tribal and primitive mindset of the Arabs of that era, a mindset shaped by competition, insults, and threats. This tribal framework was widespread among the Arabs and continues to influence some aspects of modern Arab societies. This pattern of reciprocal insults is not limited to Abu Jahl. Another example is found in Surah Al-Kathir. This 3-verse chapter was revealed in response to mockery directed at Muhammad.
Indeed, we have granted you abundance, so pray to your Lord and sacrifice. Indeed, your enemy is the one infertile.
According to historical sources, this surah was revealed as a reaction to the ridicule of a man named Alas ibn Wa'il, who had insulted Muhammad by calling him infertile, which he really was at the time. In Arab culture, the term abtar mostly referred to a man who had no children, especially no sons, meaning that his name would die out after his death. Weirdly, this insult was later turned against the opponent himself in the Quranic response. The tone of this verse leaves no doubt the Quran doesn't just dismiss insults, it throws them right back, no matter how petty or childish it may seem. From a psychological perspective, this reflects a reactionary approach, in which emotions such as anger and humiliation are embedded within the speech itself. From an analytical standpoint, such responses raise questions about the origin and authorship of these texts. Emotions such as anger, resentment, and humiliation, clearly present in these verses, are inherently human. These emotions require personal experiences and human consciousness in order to exist. This raises an important question: how can a text that is attributed to an all-powerful and transcendent creator reflect such human emotions? From a sociological perspective, this style of language reflects the tribal and primitive culture of the Arabs of that time. In that culture, tribal rivalry was a dominant force. Insulting one's opponent was a fundamental part of social interaction. An insult was always met with an insult in return. This behavior was viewed as a display of strength and social status. However, historical sources show that Alas ibn Wa'il, despite being labeled infertile, actually had sons, including Amr ibn al-Ahas and Hisham ibn Ahas. This suggests that the Quran's statement was not an objective fact, but rather an emotional and insulting reaction. From a modern psychological perspective, choosing not to retaliate to insults is considered a sign of maturity and self-awareness. Conversely, responding to an insult with another insult reflects emotional impulsivity and superficial thinking. Thus, the presence of such behavior in a sacred text, attributed to a transcendent creator, is thought-provoking. Such retaliatory reactions raise important questions about the nature of the speaker. Does the creator of the universe, with infinite wisdom and knowledge, need to descend to the level of human insults? If these verses are divine expressions, why do they contain emotions like anger, resentment, and threats, traits that are typically associated with human beings, especially in states of agitation? For instance, imagine one of Alas ibn Wa'il's sons reciting the Quran and stumbling upon a verse where God supposedly calls their father infertile, despite the obvious fact that he had children. That kind of moment could easily create a sense of contradiction, if not outright confusion, in the reader's mind.
What?
One striking feature of the Quran is its use of personal attacks, coarse language, and derogatory descriptions for its opponents. An example can be seen in the condemnation of Abu Lahab, one of Muhammad's fiercest critics.
May the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined, and may he perish, and may he get run over by an ice cream truck playing the most annoying jingle.
Wait a minute, did you just add that last part yourself?
Yes, I did. It just came to me, like divine inspiration.
Divine inspiration? This is a serious analysis of a sacred text. We do not make things up.
Oh, sorry, Grandma. You're right. I won't do it again.
Good, because that's exactly how new holy books get written, you know? Anyhow, quick PSA, if you enjoy what we do and want to keep us caffeinated enough to question everything, consider buying us a coffee over at our buymeacoffee.com page. Some of our videos, especially the ones where we poke at religion, get demonetized faster than you can say blasphemy. Your support keeps us awake, keeps us going, and most importantly, keeps the truth from getting buried under a pile of not advertiser-friendly notices. The verses of this chapter explicitly curse Abu Lahab and his wife, highlighting not just religious opposition, but deeply personal resentment. Similarly, in Surah Al-Qalam, the Quran refers to a particular opponent, commonly interpreted as Walid ibn al-Mughirah, in a series of harsh insults.
A slanderer going about with malicious gossip, a persistent hinderer of good, transgressor, evildoer, and after all, a bastard.
The word zanim in Arabic refers to someone of illegitimate birth or unknown ancestry. This personal attack on lineage was a severe insult in Arab tribal culture, where lineage was deeply tied to social honor. This kind of lineage-based contempt wasn't just a Quranic theme, it later played a major role in Islamic history. A clear example is found in the events leading up to the Battle of Karbala, where Muhammad's grandson refused to surrender to the governor of Kufa, not because he was unwilling to submit to Yazid's authority as caliph, but because the governor was believed to be a bastard. The belief that an individual's ancestry could define their honor and thus their right to rule was so deeply ingrained in Islamic and Arab thought that it even became a matter of life and death. So, if you want to witness the undisputed winner of the most ridiculous way to get killed award, look no further than Hussein ibn Ali, Muhammad's grandson. In this clip, we break down how this obsession with lineage turned into a full-blown bloodbath, and we'll walk you through how a family feud escalated into one of the most pivotal and ironically avoidable tragedies in Islamic history. From a historical perspective, the Meccan period was filled with many restrictions for Muhammad. He had no military power, he had no means to enforce violent commands, unlike the Medinan verses. As a result, the so-called revelations from this era primarily consisted of retaliatory curses, dire warnings, and threats of divine punishment, a stark contrast to the later Medinan verses. However, this dynamic shifted dramatically once Muhammad successfully established the first Islamic government in Medina. With newfound political and military authority, the tone and content of the Quran evolved, bringing forth an influx of jihadist verses and militant commands. This transformation highlights an important truth. The Quran, beyond its religious claims, is deeply tied to historical and human contexts. Understanding these shifts requires more than faith-based interpretation. It demands thorough academic scrutiny to uncover the political and social forces shaping its message. From a modern perspective, this pattern of personal insults, threats, and divine curses raises questions about the Quran's tone and nature. If this text is truly the speech of a transcendent and all-knowing deity, why does it contain such intensely personal retaliatory language? More importantly, why does it mirror the tribal customs of pre-Islamic Arabia, where verbal duels, insults, and power struggles were common forms of asserting dominance? But this is just the start. In the next clip of this series, we'll take a closer look at yet another case of Quranic retaliation, this time targeting Walid ibn Mughirah, one of Muhammad's fiercest critics. We'll break down how the Quran attacks him, what it says about his wealth and lineage, and how it reflects the power struggles of its time. If you found this exploration thought-provoking, hit like and share to help spread awareness. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next episode in this deep dive. And if you have thoughts, questions, or counter-arguments, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. Till then, stay curious, stay critical, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.